Hey everybody. So we are looking at a 2.6 today, divide real numbers, right? This first slide you might notice looks a lot like a slide that you guys copied in the last lesson when we were looking at multiplication rules. Or actually, was that the last lesson? It might have been a couple lessons ago. Okay, but yeah, the rules for division are the same as multiplication. So as far as this slide is concerned, you don't necessarily need to copy this unless you want to. You can just remember division rules, same as multiplication rules. But do make sure that you get the title at the top of your notes as always. Okay, but just a quick reminder, when it comes to division rules, basically when we have opposite signs on our numbers, if we divide them, we are always going to be getting a negative number. Okay, so if one of them's negative, your answer is going to be negative. Okay, when it comes to same signs, if they are both positive, both negative, that means you are always going to get a positive answer. Okay, and so, negative divided by a negative is a positive, and a positive divided by a positive is a positive. Okay, so, refer back to these rules if you need to, but hopefully you're getting to the point where you've multiplied them, memorized them. Okay, so let's go ahead and just try some simple examples here. Take a second, copy these down, and we'll go over them together. Okay, so on this first problem, we have a negative 16 divided by 14. You guys know, these numbers divide evenly. 4 goes into 16 4 times, but since 16 is negative, we are going to be ended up with a negative 4. Okay, so not a whole lot there, just making sure we understand the rules. Okay, over on number 2, kind of the same idea. 6 divides into 18 evenly, goes in 3 times. Okay, but we have a negative divided by a negative. Since they have the same signs, we know our answer is going to be a positive, right? So we're going to be getting a positive 3. All right, so yeah, those are nice and quick. All right, so here's really the focus of this lesson here, and that is dividing fractions. Okay, what happens when we have something like negative 20 divided by a fraction like 2/3? Okay, and basically here's the rule. What we're going to do is multiply by the reciprocal of this second number. All right, another way you might have heard it called is a freeze, change, flip. So something you might want to add to your notes is just that. So the rule is we're going to freeze, which means we're going to leave this first number alone. We're then going to change our division sign to multiplication, and we are going to then flip this second number. Okay, so freeze, change, flip. It's kind of the shorthand way of remembering how to do this math here. So yeah, let's do this problem real quick. So if we freeze our negative 20, again, it just stays the same. So we got a negative 20. All right, we're going to change our sign to multiplication. And we can do that because we're going to flip this second number, or in other words, find the reciprocal of it. Remember, reciprocal means literally just to flip upside down. Okay, so yeah, 2 over 3 is going to turn into a 3 over 2. Okay, now we can multiply our numbers together and start finding our answer. A little reminder, when you have a number being multiplied by a fraction like this negative 20 is going to be multiplied by the numerator, and then we'll divide by the denominator. Okay, so negative 20 times 3 is going to give us a negative 60, right? And then that 2 is going to stay on the bottom. Okay, negative 60 divided by 2 is going to give us a negative 30. Okay, all right, let's keep moving along here. Okay, so yeah, let's try a couple of these examples doing, basically what we just did there with some different numbers. So yeah, find the quotient. By the way, quotient just means that we're dividing. So take a second, copy these down, we'll do it together. Okay, let's go ahead and try it out on number 1 here. So yeah, freeze, change, flip. We're going to freeze this first number, keep it as a negative 10, change our division sign to a multiplication, and we can do that because we are going to flip this fraction here. All right, so a negative 2 over 5. The negative is going to stay there, turns into a negative 5 over 2. Okay, we just have the parentheses there just to kind of keep things looking nice. If we didn't have the parentheses, this would look a little strange, maybe not, but yeah, that's all it's for, just to make it look kind of nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply here. Here's one thing. This negative here applies to this whole fraction. This is a negative 5 over 2. All right, so when we multiply a negative 10 times a negative number, we know we're going to be getting a positive. So let's just automatically know, okay, the next step is going to be positive. 10 times 5 is going to give us 50. That 2 on the bottom. Now we can divide. Looks like we're getting 25. All right, let's try it out with number 2 here. So same idea. We're going to freeze the first number, change the symbol from division to multiplication, and flip the second number, which turns into a negative 4 over 3. All right, I have a positive times a negative. So I know when I multiply these things together, I'm going to be getting a negative. I'm just going to go ahead and write it. Okay, now I can do my 15 times 4, which is going to give me a 60. I have a 3 on the bottom. Okay, 3 goes into 60 20 times, right? But that negative's there, so we got a negative 20. All right, let's see. I think we got a couple more. Yeah, let's try 2 more together. Take a second, copy number 3 and 4. You don't need the directions again. Okay, so 3 and 4, mix it up a little bit. We have, fractions in different spots on these. So let's just kind of take it one step at a time. Take a look at number 3. Okay, we are still, even though there's this negative 1/2 here, we're still doing freeze, change, flip. Okay, meaning this first number, whether it's a fraction or not, stays the same. Okay, change our symbol to multiplication, and that means we are flipping our fraction. 1 over 5 becomes a 5 over 1. Okay, now we can multiply these numbers together. A reminder, when you multiply 2 fractions together, or 2 ratios, you multiply the numerators together, and then you multiply the denominators together. All right, first thing I guess I should point out, we have a negative times a positive. We know our answer is going to be negative. Up top, 1 times 5 is a 5. On the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. All right, and that's that. We can leave it like this. We could divide it and get a decimal, but we're not asked to, so we'll just leave it. All right, number 4, same idea. Even though the fraction is on the left now, we are still going to do freeze, change, flip. Freeze the first number, keep it a negative 4 over 7, change the symbol, and flip this negative 2. Here's a question. If I flip, or if I find the reciprocal of a negative 2, what does it turn into? Okay, what do you think? All right, well, another way of writing negative 2 is a negative 2 over 1, right? All right, we can write any number over 1. It doesn't change its value. Okay, so yeah, negative 2 over 1, if we find the reciprocal of that, flipping it, we're getting a negative 1 over 2. Okay, so that is the reciprocal of negative 2, a negative 1/2. Okay, now we can multiply these. Negative times negative is a positive. 4 times 1 is a 4. 7 times 2 gives me 14. All right, here's the first thing I notice. I can't divide these evenly, but I can reduce a 4 over 14. I know these are both even numbers. At the very least, 2 can be divided into both of these. It can reduce down. So I'm actually, let's go one more step and let's reduce this thing. 2 goes into 4 2 times and 14 7 times. Okay, so there's a little bit cleaner answer on that one. Okay, and if you can reduce ever on any of these problems we do it throughout the year, do it. Okay, so now that you've seen that, go ahead and try a couple of these problems on your own, and then we'll go over them. Try it out. All right, so on number 1 here, same idea. This is going back to those easy problems at the beginning. I'm just remembering if you know the fundamentals of the division rules. So negative divided by a positive. I know my answer is going to be negative. I usually just start with that. I know 3 divides into 21 evenly 7 times. Okay, and there it is, negative 7. Okay, on number 2, we have, a kind of weirder numbers to deal with whenever we have fractions. Let's deal with a freeze, change, flip. All right, so yeah, freeze the first number. We got an 8. Change the symbol to multiplication and flip this to a negative 3 over 2. All right, now we can multiply. Positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. 8 times 3 gives me a 24 over 2. These divide evenly. Looks like I'm going to get a negative 12. Okay, so last part of this lesson is us just switching gears a little bit. and with problems asking us to simplify. All right, so go ahead, take a second, copy this down. We'll do this together. Okay, so if you guys notice, we have this expression up here with two terms, two different terms, right? The 3x, or sorry, the 36x and the minus 24, two separate terms, and it's being divided by 6. Okay, here's maybe the first thing to realize. Both of these terms need to be divided by this 6, not just, the 36, but both of them. All right, so actually I'm going to split this into two, I guess, separate ratios. So I'm going to write the first one as 36x over 6. Okay, that minus sign is still separating these, or subtraction sign, whatever you want to call it. And on the right, I'm going to write this 24 over 6. Okay, so now I can actually do this division and get my answer here. So I know 6 does divide into 36 evenly. It goes in 6 times. Don't forget that x needs to come down. Okay, and the same idea, this 24 divides, or the 6 divides into the 24 evenly. It's going to go in 4 times. Don't forget the subtraction sign though, so minus 4. Okay, last thing, I notice my answer has a couple terms in it. I'm wondering, can I actually combine these? Can I do this subtraction, 6x minus 4? Okay, and remember, no, I cannot, because these are not considered like terms. The only way I could subtract these was if this was a 4x, and then I could subtract them and get a 2x, okay, but it's not. Okay, so that is my answer, and there we go. All right, so last thing here, I'm gonna go ahead and have you guys try one of these on your own, and then we'll look it over. Try it out. Okay, so negative 10x minus 20 divided by negative 5. Okay, hopefully you did the same thing I did on the last problem, realizing that this negative 5 needs to divide into both of these terms. So I'm going to first just write that out. So the negative 10x is going to be divided by a negative 5. Okay, and then don't forget there's still this minus 20 divided by negative 5. This is kind of strange though, because look at, we got a double negative here. Okay, on the next step, I'm going to remember that a double negative turns into a positive. Okay, so just kind of look out for that. It'd be really easy to forget one of these minus signs because there's so many of them. Right? So let's do this division. Negative divided by a negative gives me a positive, so I'm getting a 2x. Negative 20 divided by negative 5, again, gives me a positive 4. All right, last thing, 2x plus 4. Can I add those together? Can I get like a 6x? No, because they are not like terms. So we're done. All right, so yeah, kind of a short and sweet lesson there on division rules and dealing with ratios and fractions. So that's some good stuff. Hopefully, if you were intimidated by that, you feel a little bit better about it after this lesson. All right, guys. So I'll see you in class. Have a good one.